Well, here's another weaselly type of business transaction that's going on in the world today, Brian. And being as how you once again are the financial, you're the Farberware. Who was it? Faber?
Faber.
Which guy? Faber. Well, do me a favor and act like Faber on CNN and explain to me what the Vince McMahon is doing with $1.2 billion in cash.
I cannot tell you that. I have no idea what he's doing with it. He's a dirty old pervert. Maybe he's it. I really have no idea what he's doing.
I mean, what's he get? But no, here's the
Scrooge
thing.
McDuck style.
There you go. The money bin. He's diving off the low board. Okay, you know those goddamn Gold Krugerrands, they fucking hurt. But here's the thing for those of you who may not be following, and I hope somebody is following Vince, keep track of where he's at. But when they sold the company, Vince got, I don't even have the amounts in front of me. It's ridiculous, but it doesn't matter. They're so big, you can't put your head around it. But Vince got a bunch of money when they sold the company, and he also got a bunch of stock. And then he sold a bunch of stock. And then just recently, he sold a bunch more. This last few days here, we find out over the past month or so, he sold. But this is amounting to millions and millions of shares, and they've added it up with all of the bonuses he's gotten. He had to pay a penalty, Brian. Did you hear about this? It cost him like, I don't know, 10 or $15 million because he had to resign from the board of directors or whatever he resigned from. Son of a bitch, he lost that 15. That's like giving a guy a fucking tip for a burger at this point. But he has collected in the last, year? Maybe not even a year, maybe the last 6-8 months, $1.2 billion in cash. Now, I'm not saying that they fucking had it in a goddamn rental truck and, tens and 20s non-sequential serial numbers wrapped in rubber bands. I'm saying that he has transferred stocks of a company that were worth money on paper in exchange for actual currency to go somewhere and reside in his portfolio in some fashion. Is that a fair statement?
Maybe he's going to start a wrestling lawsuit federation.
Well, no, what is he? Is it a $1.2 billion IRA? What is he? He hasn't bought. We would hear about it. I think I said this a few months ago. The last time he got like $500 million fucking dollars. You would hear about it if Vince McMahon bought a significant stake in any kind of company, one would think, right? Or any kind of enterprise would make some news with hundreds of millions of dollars. It's not like he's buying a fucking Pep Boys franchise in Des Moines. And at the same time, also, what the fuck? Who would you call say, hey, I got $1.2 billion. I want to just put in a variety of investments and things, but, break it up to where there's not more than fucking 10 million in one place. Is he buying a private island? Help me. What could this?
I have no help for you. I don't know what he could be doing.
It's frustrating me now. Because
maybe it's for estate planning. Maybe he's just moving all the cash into something to take care of his grandkids.
Fuck. I guess is that like a goddamn, I'm sorry. Your grandfather will forever be known as a fucking rampant head shitter.
I'm sorry that my name will be attached to you forever. Here's a couple $100 million.
Yeah. But is it common when you hear about there's all these billionaires in the world? They own buildings, they own property, they own stock, they own this, they own that. But is it common for even a billionaire to have received in that short a period of time just like $1 billion in money transferred to them to do with as they will? Is this a thing that goes on in some people's fucking worlds?
A lot of the billionaires, if not most of the billionaires you hear about, if not all of the billionaires you hear about, they're not liquid billionaires. They're billionaires on paper.
Well, yeah.
Because they haven't liquidated their assets, but the assets alone make them have that valuation. How many of them are just sitting on $1 billion in cash? And again, we don't know if Vince has made some investments or done anything else. I mean, that's extraordinary. And he's not even done. He still has more money in the company.
Yo, yeah, he still got several million shares for, 100 million, whatever the fuck it is. But that's what I'm saying. Is it even common for a billionaire to liquidate their positions in a course of 6 or 8 months of over $1 billion just that quick? And when it's not like they're setting up the Vince McMahon Foundation, boy, wouldn't that be a fucking pill to swallow?
Well, that's the other thing, too. If he spent all of his time and all of his life in WWE, and that was all he cared about, all he was obsessed with, he didn't see movies, he had no idea what was happening in pop culture after a certain point, it was all his own business. Has he ever invested, like, in serious real estate? He's got the money to do a lot of things that he's never had the time to do if he really wanted to. If he really wanted to lose himself in something other than wrestling, and you got a few $1 billion to play with, you could do some interesting things.
Well, you know what? That's a good question, because before the big stock, explosion, right? When he was just a regular old private company, the Attitude Era, before all that happened. Well, no, in the Attitude Era, before all the stock happened, is what I'm saying. They were making it. He had the big house in Greenwich that he'd had. He had the big house in Florida that from what I understand, was an incredible place. And he went there like maybe for 2 weeks, maybe not that long at Christmas, and took his work with him. And otherwise, he was never there. It was worth $10 million or whatever. And he had everything in those houses and any car that he wanted or whatever, but he owned the WWF. The other outside business ventures you would hear about in those days, the bodybuilding, the Ica Pro, all that, was it not just stuff that he started?
Yeah, none of those are investments. Those are actual projects he's doing and funding. Yeah,
so I don't remember, now that you come up with it, him having all of that money, even that he had at the time. And, I'm sure he had some investments or whatever. I never asked him about his shit, but he didn't have any interest in any other business. And then, since the stock explosion and he became a literal billionaire, again, I guess the WWE as a company has invested in other things. But then until he did the football deal, again, I'd like to know where that $1 billion fucking dollars is. He got an island scoped out where he can just say, like, well, fuck all y'all. I did whatever the fuck I want to do, and I'm taking my private plane over here, and goddamn, it's not flying back. So I can leave, but I'll shoot you down if you try to land.
I don't read the news, but surely no pervert bought an island for himself. I'll be the first.
That's what I've seen. Fuck.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
It'll be me and Bruce. And the birds.
And I don't think Bruce at this part of his life, with his, overweight issues and everything, needs to be in a goddamn deserted desert island there out in the South Pacific. He needs to be, in civilization where people can monitor him.
I see Vince sitting in a big chair, Bruce standing next to him like giant feathers, just fanning him down. Yes, Sire. Yes.
But I think there ought to be some kind of, well, I guess there already is technically an investigation into what Vince is doing with $1 billion at this point. But with all the other investigations, maybe they'll find that out as a little sidelight. Can he be somehow secretly donating this to cleanse his soul in a private way? It's all going to charities in small pieces so as not to be noticed?
Not that it's going to be $1 billion, but obviously if not, I'm sure it's already started, but he's going to be spending a ton of money on legal expenses the next few years. Like a ton of money, a federal case?
Well, that's what I'm thinking. Is he preparing to if you had $1.2 billion in actual cash, like Granny called up Milburn Drysdale and said, get my money in a wheelbarrow, I'm going back to the hills. could you load that in a 727 or whatever the fuck that he might be able to fly to his island? And he's got his money in cash. And he's got a fucking island. And
you keep going back to him getting an island. Do you know something?
No,
is there something you want to say?
Well, because here I've been trying to crack this fucking conundrum here, you conundrum motherfucker. And I've come to the conclusion that if I'm 78 years old, I've done everything he's done. I've got over $1 billion in cash, and I've got the choice of either dealing with lawyers or being tied up in court for the rest of my life because I'm fucking 78, or just goddamn going to the McMahon Island, Titan Island, and flying the plane there with the $1 billion in the fucking cargo hold and not coming back. I think that's what I'm doing. I think he might be the goddamn biggest flight risk in the history of goddamn flight risks. Because he could go anywhere, do anything. You cannot mean to tell me, Brian Lass, and I will quit beating this thing to death, but you cannot mean to tell me that if a person has access to over $1 billion in liquid funds, that I don't care what they're wanted for on this planet where, that they could be somewhere just fine for the reasonable amount of time that he should have left based on his fucking age right now.
Wait, what? What's the question?
If you have over $1 billion, you can go anywhere in the world, and you can be fine, and nobody can touch you or fuck with you legally. You could be wanted for anything. No. If you got $1 billion fucking dollars, there's somewhere in the world you can go.
Where?
And measures you can take. Well, it depends on if you're Osama bin Laden, they may want you a little goddamn more urgently, but there's plenty of countries or private islands or whatever that don't have goddamn extradition. Maybe he'll create his own goddamn undersea fucking dome in international waters with $1 billion fucking dollars and live like Shark Boy in a fucking tank under the, I don't know, but you got $1 billion. You ain't going to fucking jail if you're 78. You can go somewhere and be just fine for the time you got left with $1 billion. If you have to buy the government.
He's going to go to Casablanca.
There you go. What is the goddamn, some banana republic? What's the cost of their goddamn gross national product?
Hello, Russell Simmons. This is Vince McMahon. I'm looking for real estate advice.
Well, if you take $500 million to some foreign small government and say, just give me the nicest place you got and just patrol the fucking skies every once in a while, make sure nobody comes in a helicopter. And
could you see Vince buying a third world country just to be a leader?
Yes.
Just to be the king?
Yes. If I mean, is there like a realtor.com for third world countries? Can you find out what would a serious offer would be for a country? Or would we have to come back after we do research?
We need research. I don't think there's a realtor.com for, unless you mean National Geographic, I don't think there's a realtor.com for third world countries.
Well, okay, well, maybe because we've got a cultured and widely varied audience. If somebody can do the work or knows the information, if you go to a country on Earth, well, let me phrase it like this. How many countries are there on Earth where if you went to them with $1 billion, they'd let you do whatever the fuck you want, wherever the fuck you want to do it? That's what I want to know.
Where's Linda?
I think she doesn't need the $1 billion. Nobody's goddamn looking for her. Nobody's chasing her. She can be perfectly fine with her 100 million or whatever down there, right?
Is this why Vince keeps changing his face? To go on the run?
It could, well, but I'll tell you what, by the time he gets finished, they're going to be tackling Wayne Newton on the streets of Las Vegas. Hey, we've got him now. Stay down, McMahon. It's me. It's me. It's Wayne. I think he's going for confusing similarity. Nevertheless, point being, we need to keep an eye on this because I want to know what
we need to keep an eye on this one. This is the one for sure.
Hey, I'm going to be the one. Back now, it's somewhere down the line when something happens with that $1 billion that everybody goes, Cornette knew that something was afoot. Because Vince McMahon follows the beat of his own drummer and marches to the sound of his own farts and all of those old similes that you've heard from your mother and father when you were knee-high to a grasshopper. And you know how you can do the same thing, folks? And Brian, you too, if you're still involved in this.
I'm still involved, but I don't know, no.
You can listen through to anything you want to listen to, including the fucking words in your own mind from the Raycon wireless earbuds. That's what you can do. Because the Raycons are offering amazing quality audio at half the price of the other premium audio brands. I'll tell you what, here's a test that you can take. It's a very easy test to show the audio quality of the Raycons, how that they're clearer and really almost lifelike. What you do is you're walking down the path in a quiet park, right? Right, Brian? A city park somewhere in the middle of the day when the birds are twinkling and chirping, and you can hear the rustle of the leaves, and it's very quiet. It's out in nature, right? You got your Raycon wireless earbuds. Are you following me?
A nice frolic, yeah?
A nice frolic out there, and you see somebody doing the same thing. Just walking down in this quiet park, and what you do is you come up from behind them, and you stick the Raycon wireless earbuds in their ears suddenly, and at the same time, it's playing an Orson Welles spoken fucking word album.
What?
And suddenly they will turn around thinking they're going to see Orson fucking Welles.
This is the worst example you've ever used for anything.
No, because it will sound like Orson Welles is speaking right next to them. Because the audio quality is so lifelike and amazing that you will convince people. Now, you got to sneak up before they see you. You got to stick the fucking earbuds in their ears and then they hear it. Because
don't do any of this.
If they see you coming, well, they're going to know that you're not Orson Welles because you don't look fuck all like him. But otherwise, that's a good test for the amazing audio quality. Or, you know, they've got tens of thousands of 5-star reviews if you want to go to all the trouble of reading some of those, or you could just in minutes conduct your own test that I just mentioned. But the big deal, Brian, the reason why you can forget they're in your ears, they're so comfortable. And they not only stay put where you want, you can shake your head around, you can bop to the music and rock to the beat and all that type of thing that the kids do. And they won't fall out because of the optimized gel tips. And they're so you forget they're there. And then, you know, sometimes days or weeks go by. And because now eventually the batteries are going to run out. You got 8 hours of playtime, 32-hour battery life, but eventually they're going to run down. If you just listen to them and they run down, you forget to take them out of your ears. Take a shower 3 times a week, maybe, for the next couple weeks. You're going to have a situation there. There's going to be some fungus growing behind these things. So I would suggest that try to write yourself a note you stick on your bathroom window. Take out the Raycons, because after a few weeks, there will be some mold.
Most people remember to take out their earplugs or earbuds or whatever's in their ears when they are done with the task that they have them in for.
Well, I figure, you know, sometimes you're so busy in the course of your nighttime activities getting ready for bed, putting in your nose plugs.
Hey, did you see that video that was recently going around of John Candy as Orson Welles from the Billy Crystal special in 82?
I did not.
Hold on, let me play you some audio. John Candy as Orson Welles.
And here's a bonus, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you all very much.
I don't believe this. This is...
Yes? You're jumping for a reason, young man? Who is that?
That's our director, Mr. Wells.
That is a director?
Yeah.
What? I'm on my mark. Yes, always. Move your camera.
All right. Have you ever heard those tapes of Orson Welles being difficult? That's so fucking great.
Well, anyway,
Raycon!
You can listen to stuff like that.
Ooh, let me stop it.
On the Raycon wireless earbuds, they've got the customizable sound profiles, the earbud tap functions, the noise isolation, the awareness mode. You'll be aware of things you never dreamed of before. If you want to find out if your significant other is cheating on you, buy the Raycon wireless earbuds, stick them in your ears, hit the awareness mode, and instantly you'll know.
If you want to...
You'll know.
No, you won't know that way, but if you want to find out, buy the Raycon earbuds, put them in your ears, listen to some soothing music while your private investigator gets all the dirty work done.
Well, or you could just do this the way that the Native Americans did it back in the old days.
What?
They would look at a person's eyes, but see, these Raycons, they boost your optical abilities.
No,
So
they don't. They clearly do not do that. That's the most ridiculous.
Because they're sending electronic waves into your brain and your head through your ears. So if what you do is, if you want to know the truth, you put the Raycons in and you hit the awareness mode, and then you snatch somebody up around the goozle pipe.
No.
And you look them in the eye.
Oh, come on.
And you say, tell me the truth. And if they lie to you, the Raycons will let you know.
Well, I don't know about all that, but we can let the listeners know where they can get these fine earbuds.
We sure can. If you want to do all that and more, folks, go to buyraycon, BUYRAYCON, buyraycon.com/JCE. You're going to get 20% off your Raycon order and free shipping. That's not just even, if you want to buy 2 sets of buds or 4 sets of buds or 6 sets of buds or $1, whatever you want, 20% off.
This bud's for you.
This bud's for you, folks. And free shipping. A guy named Bud is going to drive up in a truck. It's Bud's Trucking, and he's going to bring these things to you. That's why we're all buds here. So 20% off and free shipping at buyraycon.com/JCE. Be able to look a son of a bitch in the eye and tell what he's thinking.
With Raycon.
Them two.